Hi everyone. Today in this video we are going to be doing a catch-up on this black pine that we started restyling a few months ago. A quick recap. This is how the bonsai started off before we started restyling. As you can see, we're outside today. It's lovely to get out of the studio. It's a beautiful sunny morning and the birds are singing, so it's lovely out here. This is one of our outside growing areas and I love this space, so let's have a look and see what needs to be done. Overall, it is growing really well and I'm really pleased with it. In just a few months we've got some nice buds, some nice strong buds growing. The top's coming on really well. The wire is starting to look a little bit tight, so the wire needs to come off, so we're going to do that. And if some of the branches haven't quite set, then we'll have to rewire and go from there. And what I'll do is I'll give you a close-up of the wire and I'll explain to you how I know that the wire is looking too tight. It's not always obvious, but I'll give you some little tips on that. With the wire, what we've got to do is to make sure that the tree doesn't start to grow around it, so you start to get that horrible wire scarring effect. So we need to make sure we take the wire off before that happens. So what we're trying to do is to leave the wire on as long as possible to let the branches set without the tree actually growing around the wire. So what I do is I check it regularly, especially through the springtime, because the trees grow quite quickly. So I check it regularly, once a week, have a quick glance down, and what I'm looking for is any areas, especially areas where I've put some quite tight bends in there. Because those are the areas where it's really quite sort of stressed, if that makes sense. Down the sort of longer, more open branches where I've maybe just bent it a little bit, not too bad, but certainly areas where there's a tight bend, I check those more carefully. And what I'm looking for is places where the tree, I can see where the bark is in contact with the wire and it's just starting to sort of come up, so the bottom of the wire has disappeared, if that makes sense. So when you put the wire on freshly, you can see almost right around the wire as it making contact with the tree. And then over a period of time, as the bark and the cambium layer underneath starts to swell and grow out, it starts to form this sort of cup bit around the wire. Then I know it's time to take the wire off. If I leave it too late, it will start to get too far around the wire, and that's where we're in danger of getting that scarring happening. So there are definitely places in here, and I'll give you some really good close-ups, which will explain a little bit better what I'm trying to say. And then we can go through and start cutting off the wire. So this area here is very tight. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's grown out a little bit too far. There's obviously quite swelling going on at this place here where the branch starts, and so there might be a little bit of damage there. Hopefully not too bad. Sometimes if it's just a small amount it will grow out. It's when it twists around and you see that horrible sort of spring, that spiraling effect. I really don't like that. So that's an area I might have gone a little bit too far. Surprising how you keep checking and yet it's still very, very easy to get caught out. So we'll have a look at that bit in a minute. Well, these branches here are quite good examples really, how some bits where the wire probably wasn't quite as tight aren't too bad, and other bits are just showing those signs of sort of not actually cutting in but just getting too tight. So as you can see, we've got some really nice bud growth here. These little candles, these shoots that have extended out have grown really nicely, so we've got to do a little bit of work to those in a minute. Look beautiful though. So these buds on the top of the tree have grown really nicely. Really pleased with these because this was the top, and if you haven't seen the original video then it's probably worth going back and watching it, and this kind of makes sense really. but we've bent this one down here, and by opening up this top bit here, we've encouraged these little buds to grow out now, and this will start to form the top of the tree, so they're really lovely. Before we start, one very important thing to do, have some tea. Right, some wire cutters, and now I'm just going to go through and just carefully cut each section of wire and take it off. You can unwind the wire, obviously, but you're more likely to damage, especially if you've got small buds, damage the branch. So it is actually better to cut it off. It does seem a bit of a waste, but that's entirely up to you. In my experience, it's always better to cut it off. I always use bonsai wire cutters. You can use other types of cutters like electrical wire snips, but they tend to be more pointy. These are very round on the end, and that's so that when you're making contact with the branch like that, and you're doing that, I'm hoping not to cut myself now, but actually you're not going to damage the tree, or less likely to than if you have a pointy pair. So bonsai wire snips are probably up there, one of the top tools. Maybe we'll do a video on the tools from the most important, down the list of less important tools. But this is definitely important if you're tending to do a lot of wiring. So I'm just going to very carefully now snip off each bit. I just take my time when I'm doing this so that I don't accidentally damage the bark. That's good, so no damage there. The branch seems to have set quite nicely. That's good. Always make sure that I follow the branch all the way down to the end to make sure all the wire has been removed, because sometimes if you just do a bit and then you jump around and do these other bits here, we can forget about the last bit on that branch, especially if it's all covered in foliage. Then of course that's going to be left there, forgotten about. So I always find it's much better just to follow it all the way down to the end and make sure that each branch is clear of wire. I have forgotten them before. It all looks really good. We're at this point where we identified it's a little bit tight around here. I'm going to remove the wire and let's see what's underneath. Hopefully it'll be okay. Oh, that's good. A little bit of a dent there, but that's fine, that's really good. And the branch, as we've been taking the wire off, hasn't moved very much, so the branch is set really nicely. Pleased with that. All right, let's carry on. Just the top to finish off now, this bit around here. So as I'm going through and I'm taking off the wire, I am always looking for new buds. As you can see, here's another one just poking through. And the more buds that we can get to grow, the more opportunity we have to create new branches and new twigs, and even create new shapes as well. The black pine is not the best at budding back. So every time a new bud comes through, a little smile creeps on my face and I think, great. Right, I'll have a quick check around, make sure I haven't missed any. All the wire off, a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of rewiring to do, but that's okay. I am now just going to show you a couple of these big shoots here. I'm just going to reduce those a little bit. Obviously I need these to still grow, the smaller ones, and but there's one or two that are really quite dominant, so I need to just reduce those. So I'm just going to prune those back, some down here. I'll do this one because it's very easy to show you. I can't take them right off because I still need to keep some strength coming down this part of the tree. So I just need to reduce them a little bit. And working with black pines is a little bit and often. If you take too much off too quickly, you're quite likely to lose a branch. So I'm just going to do a little bit. So what I'm going to do for now is just get this shoot and cut him off. So I've been careful not to cut these few needles here, so they'll still grow and they'll develop. And I'm going to do the same with this one, just take the very tip off very carefully. Like that. So we'll still get some strength around this bit, and this branch will still be quite strong, but allow these to start to take over, so the bigger ones behind. And although I don't actually want to keep these because they're actually too thick and too heavy for this part of the tree, what I actually want to do is still keep enough strength down here to push out some new smaller buds over this coming year, and then gradually I will reduce these down even more and replace them with some smaller ones. Just working my way around, and I'm just reducing the dominant shoots. Because they will just keep growing bigger and stronger and take the energy away from other parts of the tree. And sometimes I can just open up the very tip and take out the very top, the very tip of the bud. Here we have obviously a dominant bud and a less dominant. This is the one we really want, but I do want to keep some strength coming down here. There's a few little ones behind. So for now, what I'm actually going to do is just, hopefully you can see this, I'm going to open up very carefully the foliage. Then your shoots are coming, and in there is a tiny end of this shoot, the leader, and I'm just going to give him a little nip there, and that will stop him growing out here and just encourage this one to grow a little bit. So gradually what I can do, this one will grow, and when he gets a bit dominant I can take the tip out of this one and the same with the others, and then I can reduce this one down. That keeps the branches nice and strong. That is as far as I'm going to go today. Obviously I'm going to just clear up all the wire, the bits of the offcuts, do a little bit of weeding, make sure it's all tidy. There is some tweaking to do on some of these longer branches, these ones here, but I'm going to leave it for now. I've got lots of pruning to get on with today while the weather's good, so I'm going to spend the day outside here, and what I'll do is I'll come back to this another time, and we'll keep following on from this development. So in another few months we'll get him back in front of the camera and see how he's growing. But I'm really pleased with the way it's coming along now. Take care. I hope you've liked this video, and if you have, please subscribe and like. This does help me build the channel, and then I can keep passing on all the things that I've learnt about bonsai over the past 40 years to all of you.